What's up, Internet? My name is Matt Santana. Welcome to the office where we discuss tech and the world around it. Today, I wanted to show you guys 5 tips that I've learned over the last couple years being a photographer. I've been a photographer for maybe about 10 years now. It's been a long time since I picked up a DSLR. And there's some things that I've learned along the way that I want to share with you, especially if you are just getting started. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I want to tell you about is shooting RAW. Now, RAW is a file type that gives you the most data in your image. When you take a photo with your camera, sometimes your camera will do some funky things like compress it when it does a JPEG. If you ever see like a JPG, that is a compressed photo format. You want a uncompressed raw file that has all of the data. And what this helps with is when you want to edit your photo in post, whether you're using like Adobe Lightroom or any other photo editing software, you now have more information that you can edit from. So if you need to brighten an image up, the data is there for you to brighten it up. If you need to play with the highlights or do anything like that, you have more information. Same thing goes for colors and other things like that. If you're trying to do some heavy editing with a JPEG, you're gonna find out that you're fairly limited with what you can do. So shoot RAW. The next tip that I want to tell you about is shooting manual. Now, shooting manual can be very intimidating for some people because, you know, you're trying to get the photo, which is very important. You're trying to capture a memory, you're trying to capture something. And if you're not really experienced with using manual, you don't really know what to change. You don't know if you need to change your ISO, you don't know if you need to change your aperture or your shutter speed. Now, those 3 things all work together to get you a great image, properly exposed, proper colors, all of those things. So what you need to do is you need to learn how to shoot manual. The best way to get started with shooting manual is to shoot in automatic. Like most photographers will tell you that a real photographer never shoots in automatic and all of these things. Look, I'm gonna be really honest with you. I shoot in automatic every single shoot. But here's the catch. I only do it just to see what the camera is doing. Now, what I mean by that is this. So if I walk into a shoot and I want to see what a camera would do in a particular situation because I'm not quite exposing it right, I will switch it to auto, take the photo, look at the image, and then I will adjust the settings from there. So if I wanted it brighter or if it wouldn't work for motion or whatever it is, I will tweak the 3 things, ISO, aperture, or shutter speed to get the image that I want. I then switch back to manual and then I put those settings in and now I'm dialed in for that particular scene. So what I mean by that is if I'm shooting, let's say this corner over here where it's dark or right here where it's lit, I'm going to have different settings. Shooting in automatic helps me get those settings faster if I don't really have time to figure it out. Another thing that I do is I shoot in aperture or shutter priority. That is a great way to figure out how to control your camera, whether it's the shutter speed or the aperture. Either way, learn to shoot manual. When you are able to go into a environment and just dial in the settings on full manual, that's when you know that you've arrived. And look, it doesn't take long to really understand those 3 things, but shooting manual will open up a room of opportunity for you, especially if you shoot in RAW. So the next thing that I want to tell you about is shooting in burst or continuous mode. Different cameras have different settings, so you want to be mindful of what camera is capable of what. But what I mean by shooting in burst is that if you've ever held your camera down, maybe on your iPhone or Android device, and you've seen your phone take several pictures, that is burst. So you can actually do that with a DSLR, and you have to have a very fast card, especially if you're using a camera with high megapixels and a camera that is shooting in RAW. Shooting in burst allows you to make sure that you get the shot. When I'm doing portrait photography, family photography, or really just anything in general, especially if I'm taking photos of multiple people at once, I will take probably about 20 to 25 photos just in that one scene, because I will hold down the shutter and make sure that I capture everybody's faces, every little eyeball or twitch or smile or smirk. I'm able to capture it because I'm shooting in burst. So if you're the type of shooter who thinks that you have to shoot in single shot, where you have to click for every photo that you want to take, you're going to find yourself missing those in-between shots, those half a second moments where their eye is half shut or something like that. And shooting in bursts has allowed me to capture that moment. So make sure you shoot in burst. Pro tip, you're going to use a lot of space on your SD card. So make sure that you have a large enough SD card for, multiple photos, because I will go through about 200, 250 photos in one session just because I shoot in bursts. Next tip, an extra battery. Now, this is something that I have had to learn a very hard lesson in. I actually got to a shoot one time and my battery in my camera was dead. So if you are a photographer, you need an extra battery. Go on Amazon, go to Best Buy, whatever you need to go, and get an extra battery. Having one that is charged up and ready to go, just in case you have an issue, is going to save you a huge headache, because not having a battery ready, and in some cameras, not having a quick way to charge your camera or your battery, you're going to find yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in, especially if you have a paying client who's waiting on you to do a shoot. Last but not least, the tip that I want to share with you is to invest in reliable SD cards. Now, I have a couple different SD cards. I have some that are meant for really fast photo shoots. I have some that are meant for video. I have some that are meant for, casual photography where I'm just shooting landscapes. Maybe if I'm going on a hike. I use different SD cards for different reasons, but nevertheless, what I do is I make sure that I have extra ones and have some sort of system in your organization. I use one where if it's facing up, that means that it is ready to go, it's cleared. It's facing down, that means that there's actual photos on it, and to not clear it. I do things like that to make my workflow much easier, so that when I am reaching into my case to grab an SD card, I know which one to grab. And I don't continue a session on another card. That's one of the most frustrating things, is when I try to import something and I accidentally re-import old photos. So definitely invest in multiple cards, get you a good solid case, and make sure that you get a card that is fast enough to do burst or handle the high megapixels in your camera. Well guys, those are my tips that I have learned over the last 10 years in photography. There's more to come. I have way more tips to provide, but I just wanted to give you guys a good starting point for if you just got a camera or you're just getting into photography. Those are some things that I think that you need to know. If you guys have any questions, please hit me up down below in the comments. I'm also on Instagram and on Twitter, so if you guys reach out to me there, I will respond gladly. So until the next video, if you guys have any more questions or video ideas, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Stay up.